We should see it on the screens, correct? Thank you. In accordance with the open government law, the meeting notice and agenda were published in the Guam Daily Post on March 31st and April 4th, 2022, and was also posted on the Guam Public Notice website. Additionally, this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the Mayor's Council of Guam YouTube channel. Is there a motion on the floor to approve the March minutes, please? Use your mic, please.
Move to approve.
The motion is made by the Mayor of Talafofo. Is there a second? The motion is seconded by the Mayor of Chalanpago Ordered. Any discussion on this motion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say no or nay. The motion carries. Is there, this gavel is a little weird. Elaine, is this a new one? Can we get the old one? Thank you. It's still bad. Okay. It sounds like a Mattel toy. Thank you. Is there a motion on the floor to approve the treasurer's report for April?
Move to approve.
The motion is made by the Mayor of Chalanpago Ordered. Is there a second? The second is made by the Mayor of Barrigada. Any discussion on this motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. The motion carries. Thank you. And we'll move on to our guest speakers. We do have our first guest speaker is going to be a virtual guest speaker from NOAA, the National Marine Sanctuaries. I know that in the previous AMIM meeting, a General Assembly, something to this topic was discussed. And so it is appropriate that we recognize this speaker and that we hear what they have to say about how it affects us here on Guam and how we can actually be a part of a bigger movement with the AMIM General Assembly or the AMIM Assembly. And so if we can have Hoku Pauzima from the National Marine Sanctuaries. Good morning and welcome.
Hi, half a day all. I am trying to figure out how to share screen and use my audio for this. So let me see if I can.
Hoku Pauzima from the National Marine Sanctuaries. Good morning and welcome.
Hi, sorry, I was. Oh. Are you folks able to hear me? Okay, sorry, I'm getting some kickback on my side, so I don't want to make it mess it up for you folks. Let me see if I can share my screen and keep audio this time.
We see your PowerPoint. Test. Hoku, can you test your microphone, please?
Yes, I believe it's working now. And did my PowerPoint go down? I'm so sorry, folks.
Yes, it did. Can you request one more time to share your screen so we can put your PowerPoint up onto the TVs? There you go. We got PowerPoint going on right now. Thank you. You may speak. It might be when you're sharing your screen, your audio is muting. You're unmuted now, that's why.
Okay. If I guess I could wield my my place in line, and could I send slides over to someone else to present? Would
Yes,
that
if
work
you
for
can
folks?
email the slides to, let me get you, we're gonna post the email right now on the chat. If you can send it to there, we'll download it and then we'll present it from here locally. And then you can just
Okay,
put the camera on.
perfect. Thank you so much. Apologies, folks.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to the next guest speaker while they handle those issues. And so from the Department of Public and Social Services regarding breast and cervical cancer services, Rachel and Vivian, are you here? Okay, great. Please come forward to the left of me, please. There's a podium right to my left. There's a microphone.
Hi, half a day, everyone. My name is Vivian Pareja. I am with the Guam Comprehensive Cancer Control Program from the Department of Public Health and Social Services. I just wanted to thank you, everyone, for allowing us to present our programs and services that we are offering to our community. The Guam Comprehensive Cancer Control Program, we focuses on bringing representatives from the Cancer Network on Guam to address prevention, screening, early detection, treatment, data and research, as well as survivorship faced by our cancer patients, our families, and on Guam, and as well as the caregivers. So we work closely with the Guam Comprehensive Cancer Control Coalition, or also called the Guam Cancer Coalition. So the coalition consists of public, private stakeholders, as well as individuals in our community to work together to address cancer control in our island. So within the coalition, we have 3 action teams. These are the prevention, screening, and treatment, or which is called the PSAT. We also have the data and research action team, or also known as DRAT action team. And then we have the survivorship and quality of life, which is SQUAL team. So the program and the coalition's mission is to reduce the cancer cases and the cancer deaths on Guam through partnership with our public and private stakeholders. So is cancer still an issue on Guam? Okay, so cancer remains the second leading cause of cancer death on Guam. And every single day, 1 person is diagnosed with cancer. And every 2.5 days, 1 dies of cancer. And the one on the right, that's our Guam Cancer Facts and Figure 2003 to 2007. Our data and research action team is in the process of work on publishing the new Cancer Facts and Figures. So what are the most common cancers on Guam? These are breast cancer, colon and bronchus, colon and rectum, lung cancer, liver cancer, as well as prostate cancers. So these cancers account for 56% of new cancer cases and 61% of cancer deaths on Guam. So what's encouraging is that these cancers can be prevented by lifestyle changes, as well as avoiding the risk factors. The risk factors for cancer, such as physical inactivity, tobacco use, including electronic cigarettes, excessive alcohol intake, and etc. So how can we prevent cancer? So we can prevent cancer by stop all tobacco use, including electronic cigarettes, limiting alcohol intake for adult men once a day, twice a day, and then for women once a day, eating a healthy diet. So if you look at the PowerPoint presentation for eating a healthy diet, half of your plate should be your fruits and vegetables, and the other half would be your carbohydrates as well as your proteins. And you can also prevent cancer by doing physical activity. It doesn't have to be too extreme. For adults, the guidelines for physical activity is to exercise at least 30 minutes a day. You can, if you're too busy, I know everyone is busy here, you can take your 15-minute break in the morning to, just walk around the office or use the stairs, and then another 15 minutes in the afternoon. To prevent cancer as well, use sun protection, the SPF lotion, as well as wear sunglasses, wear a long sleeve if you're out in the sun. Normally, the sunlight is really strong between 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. To prevent cancer as well is to get vaccinated for HPV, or human papillomavirus, and the liver vaccine as well. And lastly, get regular checkup with your healthcare providers. So to find cancer early, please we encourage for everyone to see their healthcare provider regularly if you are to see if you are appropriate to get screening for breast cancer screening, prostate screening, cervical screening, colorectal screening, as well as lung screening. And these screenings are available all on island. So I just wanted to show you, we do community health outreach via online. So we just recently had the colorectal cancer stakeholder meeting. We conducted every quarter. Everyone it's open to the community. I will share with you how to get involved. And these pictures showed you our community outreach and education before COVID-19. Okay. These are some of the educational materials that the program and the coalition have developed. They are all available online for download. Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties. Oops. My apologies. Okay. Okay. And we have this Guam Cancer Passport. I brought printed copies for everyone. So this is a great tool for people who are newly diagnosed with cancer, or just people who are interested to know about cancer. It's a great tool because it would show you like what the cancer is, the treatment, and the services available. We just recently updated the cancer resources. So you can check that out as well. And it is also available online for download. Now I will turn you over to Therese Mabute. She will be presenting on the racial and ethnic approaches to community health.
Howdy, everybody. Good morning. My name is Cherise Mabuti, and I am the local project associate for the Racial and Ethnic Approaches to Community Health Program. So, REACH program is a national program administered by the CDC to reduce racial and ethnic health disparities and is funded under the Prevention and Public Health Funds. So, through REACH, we plan to carry out local and culturally appropriate programs to address a wide range of health issues. This current REACH funding runs from 2020 to 2023, and we are currently on our second year of program activities. We focus on a policy, system, and environmental intervention strategies, which promotes health behavior by making healthy choices readily available and easily accessible in our community and with sustainability in mind. REACH is designed to improve health, prevent chronic diseases, and reduce health disparities among people of the U.S. affiliated Pacific Islands. And REACH Guam is a partnership between the University of Hawaii and the Department of Public Health and Social Services. So I work closely with the Comprehensive Cancer Control Program. For REACH, we have 3 focus areas, which is tobacco, physical activity, and community clinical linkages. So we plan to enhance tobacco prevention and control by strengthening current tobacco policies, particularly Public Law 30-63, which prohibits smoking 20 feet of public entrance and exits. For physical activity, we plan to increase physical activity by improving routes or destinations to promote safe and accessible multi-use pathways. And for community clinical linkages, we plan to strengthen this by developing a referral system to locally available community programs that address chronic diseases and to increase the number of patients referred to locally available programs and extend this referral to non-clinician staffs.
Is it possible if we can go back to the previous slide? So how can you get involved with the Guam Comprehensive Cancer Control Program or the coalition? You can send an email to cancercontrol@dphss.guam.gov. And to access all our educational materials, you can go to dphss.guam.gov/cancer control. And if you have social media such as Facebook, we are also on Facebook. It's Guam CCC. Thank you so much. And now I will turn you over to Ms. Rachel.
Thank you, babe. Good morning, everyone. My name is Rachel Ramirez, and I'm the health educator for the Guam Breast and Cervical Cancer Early Detection Program. First and foremost, I just want to introduce the staff that involves in the Guam Breast and Cervical Cancer Early Detection Program. And we have a program coordinator which is Miss Elizabeth Guerrero, myself, and of course the newly hired program coordinator 1, which is Emma Rages. I know there will be a lot of questions because I'm talking about women's health, and I know I see a lot of men in this group, but I think being said, this will help you with your with the women's, because this is the way that the only program and the only one of the program in public health that caters for women's health and for free if you're gonna see later on my presentation. So the Guam Breast and Cervical Cancer Early Detection Program is 100% federally funded program and offers to aid in the fight against breast and cervical cancer in our island. So we are really fortunate to have this funding, and what we are trying to cater are those, if you can see in the screen, are those 21 years old and older, up to 64 years old actually in our program. And if you look on the breast cancer screening, our target population is 50 years old. Why? It's because it is known in the study or research that older women are prone or have a risk of getting breast cancer. And for those with cervical cancer screening, the women 21 years and older, is our target group or the priority group never been screened. So that's our target population. And of course, one of the eligibility criteria is those with no insurance or uninsured, and also underinsured. What we mean with underinsured is that giving the insurance who does not completely cover the cost of the screening exam. So there's a lot of things about that, the underinsured, meaning if you have a private insurance and then you did the initial screening, what happened is the problem is when you have an abnormal screening for the initial screening. So we can cover all those stuff. That's what we mean with underinsured. That the insurance cannot cover the next procedure. And of course, they must be a documented residents of Guam, and of course meet the income brackets, which is the 250% federally poverty guidelines. We base it in Hawaii guidelines. And what services are we offering are the clinical breast examination, the basic, mammogram, pap test, HPV pelvic exam, and of course, when I said earlier that after this initial, if there is a need for the additional procedure, then we cover the diagnostic procedure. Our breast and cervical cancer screening providers that we have right now includes Guam Radiology Consultant, MDX, FHP for mammogram, who provides mammogram as well as diagnostic procedure for breast. And FHP, aside from mammogram or diagnostic procedure for breast, they are the only one provider that conducts for us the CBE, pap smear, and HPV. So this is where we send our patient when we have our patient, if they are eligible to the program. And of course, for the labs and for the pathology, we do have the Hawaii Pathology Lab, and of course the DLS, which does our PAP and HPV, including the lab services if needed. And I just want to share with you some program activities that we have. We've been collaborating with a lot of programs, a lot of organization, a lot of partnership in the community. And one of that is the village mayor. And I know some of you might have known me or see me went to your villages in one time or the other in the past. And I can name some of the villages that I went to: Dededo, Sinahanya, Tamuning, Jigo, all those, Jonia, if I can remember, all those villages. And in the purpose for this actually that we are here is to appeal on you how we can be able to reach in your constituent to be enrolled in the program, because this is free. If they are eligible, this is free for them. And to show the data right now that we have in our island, based on the Guam statistical data, the projected from 2020 to 2030, the program may have at least 13,000 eligible women plus eligible women in our program, and we only reach out like 4,000 plus. So it's just like representing like 30%. So we still have a lot of women to be reached out. And how can this be done but with your help? So we are trying to appeal in you. I can be able to go in your area, and I can be able to recruit there, and I just want to, at least with your support, with the support of the mayor's council, with the support of your staff in the villages, we can be able to at least engage in you to be able to reach out all these other women that we haven't reached yet, or we haven't enrolled in the program, because this will be a continuous program as long as we have the funding. So this is not the stop like after 1 year, nothing. So once they're enrolled, they're still uninsured, they are still within our program, and we still call them every year for their screening. So, and as you see, there's a lot of partnership we do, some other organization.
So
And of
Rachel,
course,
in the interest of time, Rachel, do you want to hear suggestions now from the mayors? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Only because the
Yeah,
15 minutes is
I know.
already
Thank
time.
you so much. Thank
Okay,
you
so mayors, are
That's the
there,
last.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
Mayors and vice mayors, are there any questions for the ladies, or did you want to offer any kind of advice or suggestion based on what they are asking. The mayor of Inalak is recognized.
Yeah, so may I ask if you can put me on the schedule in Alahan? I'd like to open up my office maybe one day and would, prior to you coming out, we'd like to do maybe a 2-week announcement so that we reach out to the community and then when you do show up, we're hopeful that we have people showing up to register.
Yes, so I appreciate that, Mayor. So I may be emailing you for that. Any details about that, everything will be detailed in the email. Okay,
Thank
again,
you.
anyone who will gonna be reaching out, and my number is 9298772 with an email of rachel.ramirez@dphss.gov.gov. Yeah. Okay, so maybe I can reach with any mayors. Thank you so much, and I appreciate all your time.
Sure. Any other mayor or vice mayor have, the mayor of Barrigada is recognized.
Thank you so much. We would also like to have this for our
Yeah, okay,
community.
thank you so much.
Barrigada.
Yeah, I
Thank
know,
you.
I know, being a woman, and I think that would be make a difference, right?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Any other mayor or vice mayor? No? Okay. Thank you, ladies, and
Okay, I
we'll be in
appreciate
touch.
those, yeah.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Staff, is the first presenter ready again, from NOAA, or are we moving along?
I did send the slides over to the email provided in the.
Hoku, I know that time is, our time difference is an issue. Do you want to go ahead and make the presentation?
Yeah, let me, I'll try to shorten some parts because, and I apologize in advance, it's just at the same time I'm about to start moderating another event. And so I'll just kind of get to it if that's all right with you folks.
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. So aloha, hafere, and tirao. My name is Hoku Kaikuhivi Posima, and I'll be providing a presentation today on the 5-year review of the Mariana Trench National Marine Sanctuary nomination. Next slide, please. This is just an outline for our presentation today. So I'm going to give a short overview of ONMS and then briefly touch upon the nomination, but more try to focus on the 5-year sanctuary nomination review process. Next slide, please. Just quickly sharing for those who don't know where we kind of sit in the bureaucracy. So within the United States federal government, we sit within the Department of Commerce. Our agency is National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Within NOAA, our line office is the National Ocean Service, and I work for the Office of National Marine Sanctuaries, or ONMS, as we often refer to ourselves. Next slide, please. Just a brief overview of the National Marine Sanctuary System. So the ONMS, or the Sanctuary System, serves as the trustee for a network of underwater parks encompassing more than 600,000 square miles of ocean and Great Lakes waters, from Washington State to the Florida Keys and from Lake Huron to American Samoa. The system currently includes 15 national marine sanctuaries. These are indicated by the blue circles on the map, and 2 marine national monuments, and that's indicated by the blue triangles. You'll also notice yellow squares, which represent sites in the process of sanctuary designation, which in some regards is near the end of the process for us. We do have a number of nominations on the nomination inventory list that are not indicated on the map because they are not undergoing the designation process at this time. We did want to point out that all nominations are in different parts of the overall process, and the 5-year nomination review is one part of this process, which is the point in the process that the Mariana Trench Sanctuary nomination currently is. Next slide, please. So sanctuaries carry out diverse programs. Some of these include resource protection, cultural and maritime heritage, science via research and monitoring, education and outreach, volunteers and advisory councils, water quality testing, community partnerships, and also promoting recreation and tourism. Next slide, please. So I'm going to give a quick recap of some noteworthy reasons why the Mariana Trench was nominated as the National Marine Sanctuary back in 2016. You can see the bullets on the screen. Some of the highlights are high endemism and diverse marine ecosystems, hydrothermal vents and seamounts, indigenous Chamorro and Carolinian cultures, World War II and maritime heritage sites. I also wanted to point out that this nomination does not seek to create fishing restrictions or other restrictive regulations. It actually does not propose specific boundary areas for the proposed sanctuary either, but rather wants to leave it up to the community to voice best areas to include within the boundaries if the site does move to the designation process. I'd also like to note that the original nomination did meet NOAA's 11 criteria for national significance and management consideration, and asked NOAA to consider the waters of the U.S. exclusive economic zone surrounding the CNMI, including the waters of the existing monument for sanctuary designation. Next slide, please. So this is a timeline of the nomination of the Mariana Trench National Marine Sanctuary. So for starters, on December 5th, 2016, the nomination was submitted by the Friends of the Mariana Trench. On March 13th, 2017, NOAA did accept the nomination of the Mariana Trench National Marine Sanctuary into the inventory of successful nominations. Fast forward to 2022, January 21st, the Federal Register notice was published for the 5-year nomination review. This review ensures that nominations in the inventory continue to be responsive to the 4 national significance criteria and the 7 management considerations. Therefore, you can imagine public comment is an important part of this determination. A public meeting was held, the first public meeting was held on February 12th, 2022. The initial comment period ended on February 22nd. However, NOAA did receive requests for an extension of the public comment period and responded accordingly by publishing an extension on March 10th, extending the deadline out for 45 more days. The nomination was scheduled to expire on March 13th, 2022. This comes 5 years after its acceptance into the inventory. So per our nomination process, we had to conduct this review. Given that the reopening of the public comment period would not have allowed for a decision to be made by the March 13th expiration date, the nominators will not be required to resubmit their nomination given that the expiration date falls within the extended public comment period. Based on the input received during initial public comment period, we felt it was important to extend the process to ensure that community has had the opportunity to provide additional input on the nomination and whether it continues to meet the sanctuary nomination process criteria. We also felt that it was important to take the additional time to work with CNMI and Guam leadership to provide presentations on the nomination process and how that process differs from a designation process. An additional public meeting was held last week on March 31st. Our team is working really hard to ensure that the word is shared with the community and leadership to join, to have joined the public meetings and to provide public comment and/or provide public comment in another form. For this, the public comment period will end on April 25th, after which NOAA will review all information received. If NOAA does determine that the site continues to meet NOAA's 11 criteria on national significance and management consideration, it will remain in the inventory for an additional 5 years. Excuse me. I just want to remind everyone, remaining in the inventory does not guarantee that the nominated area will be designated as a national marine sanctuary. Those are 2 very different processes. Next slide, please. So I'm going to give an overview of the 5-year review process and considerations. If you are able to advance that slide. Thank you. So I'm going to give an overview of the 5-year review process. So as nominations approach the 5-year anniversary of NOAA's acceptance to the inventory, we review new or existing information to determine whether the nomination continues to be relevant in that it meets the 11 criteria on national significance and management considerations. The steps of the 5-year review are as follows. NOAA sends a letter to the nominator at or around the 4.5-year mark of its time on the inventory to give the nominator an opportunity to provide updates of the area's relevance and responsiveness to the criteria. Next, NOAA works with partners to gather information on the nomination's continued accuracy and relevance to the nomination criteria. This includes gathering information through public processes, including a written comment period and possibly even a public comment, a public meeting a public meeting to gather public comment. Apologies. NOAA was seeking public input for 30 days with an additional 45 days added on for whether the nomination should stay in the inventory. Next up, we have once the public comment period does close, NOAA reviews the information received from the original nominating party, partners, and the public and other relevant sources. And during that review, or once we conclude that review, we may elect to keep the nomination in the inventory for another 5 years or not. The 5-year review does ensure that nominations in the inventory continue to be responsive to the national significance criteria and management considerations. Next slide, please. So as previously mentioned, one of the most important parts of the 5-year review process is the public comment period, as NOAA wants to ensure that we can make an informed decision using up-to-date information. Written comments should address the continued relevance of the nomination towards the 11 criteria and any new information NOAA should consider about the nomination or the resources proposed for protection. Currently, we have no other public meetings on the books, but it is not too late to submit an electronic comment. And so the way that you would do that is through regulations.gov. You would search this docket number. It's NOAA, NOAA-NOS, NOS-2022-0005. You just click on the comment now icon, complete the required fields, and then you can enter comments there, or you can attach them via like a Word doc or something like that. The public comment period will end on April 25th, 2022. Next slide, please. And again, we did have a public meeting last week on Thursday, March 31st. Next slide, please. Mahalo and thank you. Apologies for kind of having to go quickly through that, but I thank you folks all for your time, and we'll open it up if anyone has immediate questions or comments, if that's the process here. Thank you.
It is. Thank you, Hoku. Any member have a question for Hoku regarding the presentation? Are we inclined as a council to submit comments? I suggest that we do. Is there anyone in, are there any, is someone turning off our lights? I suggest that we do submit comments, and if there are no objections, then what I think we'll do is we'll work with the executive director and perhaps the officers will draft some comments and we'll send it to you for your approval. Are there any objections to that?
No objection.
Thank you. Hoku, thank you so much, and we'll look forward to sending some comments.
Mahalo. Thank you, folks. Aloha.
Okay. Adios. And we'll move on to our next guest speaker, the Village Playtime and Family Engagement Activities. That's Elaine. I see Elaine. Good morning, Elaine. You may begin.
Day and good morning. With me is my colleague, Pauline Camacho. She's the acting director of the Preschool Development Grant. And so the two of us are going to do so I just wanted, can you see, do you see the slide or my notes?
We see the slide and your notes.
Okay, let me shift it over. All right, so you see just the slides. Yes?
Okay, it's good. Although you sent it in, so they can share.
All right,
Also.
Thank you very much. So we are excited. We had the opportunity to meet you when we submitted the renewal grant. And so we wanted to give updates to the village mayors, and we appreciate the opportunity to share. We are going to share with you continue to reinforce the notion of investing in the first 5 years. We know through brain development and how we work with children that if we provide good, caring, and nurturing relationships and environments, then the outcomes of children are positive all the way till their adulthood. And so the Guam Early Learning Council, in partnership with Public Health, continue to try to live up to our vision for ensuring that all Guam's young children have healthy minds, bodies, and spirits as a foundation of lifelong success. Pauline? Oh, you're on mute. You're still on mute?
So I'm just covering village playtime. Go ahead.
Okay, good. The mission of both the Early Learning Council is to support each child, birth to age 8, in reaching their full potential in an equitable health and education system that is accessible, comprehensive, integrated, and responsive. And then we partner in collaboration with families and communities. And children grow in families. They live with families, and they live those families within communities. And I think it's important for us to remember that as we look at how we can ensure that we meet our most vulnerable population. This grant provides an opportunity to expand our current goals and objectives in efforts to prepare low-income disadvantaged children to enter kindergarten and improve transition between Department of Education and other early childhood programs into school systems, right? And so how do we get children ready? Because we all transition from one level to another. And so babies transition from hospital to home, and then all the different interactions and opportunities that they have, birth to age 5 before they get into the next transition of their life, which is into school entry. We want to share that we wouldn't have done this without you because you're one of our core collaborators. And so we applied when we first met you last time. We asked for your support in submitting a 3-year grant for the preschool development grant project Birth to 5. We were awarded $2.7 million per year. And so I want to give you share with you what that will be. Prior to that, we got a $1 million initial grant funded, and it presented to you, and I'm sure Elaine had sent it out. We gave you a bag, and in the bag is 2 documents that we're going to just reference as we go through that. The initial grant allowed us to conduct 2 things: to conduct a community-based needs assessment of the early care and education on Guam. And so based on that first document, which is the needs assessment, and the second document is the state plan. Based on that, when we submitted this renewal grant, it was that Department of Public Health and Social Services with the Early Learning Council will oversee Guam's preschool development grant. And the reason for that strong collaboration is that it's not only public health responsibility to look at how we can support children and families through a health and education system, but it's all of us, it's everyone. And so the Early Learning Council is representation, has the Vice Mayor Delgado, who's part of the council, as well as all the other administrators and department heads that serve young children, right? And so the preschool development project is currently under the Department of Public Health. You also probably, and within our grant, these are the 6 pillars that are going to help us work through systems work. And systems work, as you know, is very hard. We're looking at policy and governance, maximize parent support, physical systems. Where are we going to continue to get this funding? The need to look at professional development, not just for providers, but for parents and our partners throughout the community. How are we going to create our data system and expand? And then around quality, accessibility, and supports. But just to set the tone, because I know you're wanting to read those 2 documents, but I want to give you the state of early childhood, just as a real quick brief, right? Currently, there's about 14,000 children under the age of 5. And when we looked at those 14,000 children, there are 9,834 that receive Medicare, 681 that receive maternal and MIP, and then 4,000, close to 5,000 that receive WIC. Now I'll take a deep breath because there are 14,000 children. And if you look at our total population on Guam and look at the economic status, there probably are more children that could access these services. Maternal and Child Health, MCH, the orange box, shows that Guam low birth weight is at 8.47. We still continue to be high, right? Guam continues to be higher than what national average is. Our maturity rate is at 11, infant maturity and prematurity is at 11.05%. National average is around 9. We're still above what national average. Infant mortality, we're at 9.48. Nationally, it's at 5.7 per thousand. So babies are dying before their first birthday. And why is that? So there's definitely alarming situations, right? We know that out of the 14,000 children, only 1,000 we can identify in some type of formal care. So that piece I want the mayors to really think about. So what do we do and why aren't we able to reach more families? We know the impact of COVID, the numbers keep coming in. You can look at pre and post COVID. How many children were receiving early intervention, and post COVID, we get half of those kids. So we're losing children. We're trying to find them now, but kids are just not being present. Pre-COVID CCDF, we're serving Child Care Development Fund, serve children around over 6,000 children. Post-COVID, it's less than 1,000. Project Visita Familia, the home visiting program, is not a full operation because we continue and they're getting back to it now. But because public health and with COVID, everybody had to do the COVID quarantine. Everybody had to support what was the unknown to us in 2019. And then of course, the Project Carino. Carino is our early childhood mental health service. This is a program that provides first line response to children birth to 5. We have so many young children that are experiencing toxic stress, both abuse, neglect, sexual abuse. Our first line folks are no longer there. They were assigned to COVID during COVID with this whole long list, and I'm sure it's happening across the country. Staff quit. There's just too much. And so we've had to, within a system, figure out who is going to support these children and families that have issues around toxic stress. And of course, child protective services. You've heard the governor had put in a change within who would support this. We also know now that within public health, there's the Division of Children's Wellness, which we are very happy about. It's going to help oversee and support this very comprehensive and system that we're working on. So I wanted to just stop for a minute because it looks bleak, right? But how can we do this together? And I just want to reiterate, and you're going to see that your role, your leadership within your community is so important. I'd like to share this video. It's a quick 4 minutes, but I want you to think about, so what does it look like with me in the village? What does it look like as a community? And what can I do as the leader of that community? Here we go.
The social challenges that face modern societies, whether it's the ability to work productively, to be a good citizen, stay healthy, have their roots in early health and development. A strong foundation in early childhood results in much better and more effective development later. A weak foundation really puts us behind. The most important thing children need to thrive is to live in an environment of relationships that begins in their family, but also extends out to the adults who are family members in childcare centers and other programs. What children need is for that entire environment of relationships to be invested in their healthy development. We've shown from decades of testing interventions that we can improve outcomes. But the magnitude of those impacts is not good enough. Science is now available to help us think about what we might do that would have a bigger impact than the best of what we've done before. So we began to ask, what could we be doing differently? What could we do to be smarter? Children who are at the greatest risk for the poorest outcomes in learning and health and behavior are children who experience a pile, a cumulative burden of one after another of risk factors. And then the burden is more than any child could be expected to overcome. So we began to focus on the development of the adults. What could we be doing to strengthen the capacity of everyone who interacts with children? This led us to think about the kinds of skills you need to deal with adversity. These skills of focusing attention, planning, monitoring, delaying gratification, being able to solve problems, being able to work in teams, executive function and self-regulation. They're also the kind of skills you need to create a well-regulated home and school environment in which healthy development and learning can take place. And then brain science started to tell us that differences in those skills start to develop in infancy based on the environment kids live in. So how do those skills get good? Well, if you don't develop them early, how do you develop them later? Actually, you can build them later because the period of flexibility and plasticity for this part of the brain wasn't fully mature until age 25 to 30. So then the light bulb went on. The reason we're not getting a bigger impact is not because we don't know about how to influence development, but because we're giving information and advice to people we need to do active skill building. Skill building by coaching, by training, by practice. We're not doing that. So we now have developed this theory of change that says we need to focus on the development of the adults who are important in kids' lives.
How does that work? It's a new idea.
We need to focus on their skills, their needs, in order for them to be better, more effective parents, in order for them to be better prepared to be employable, which would enhance the economic stability of the family, which is also good for children. Second of all, we looked at many people in preschool programs and childcare centers. And we said, what are we doing to build those skills in the providers? They need skill building as well. And also the community can help to build and reinforce the capacities that parents need. And the community also includes programs in which the people who work in the programs have sufficient skills. Third of all, what are the major sources of toxic stress in this community and how can we reduce them? Moving it up to a policy level, how are our policies strengthening communities' abilities to reduce sources of toxic stress and caregivers' abilities to provide what kids need? The development of our human capital is our future. The development of a productive workforce is our future. The development of a healthy population is our future. This kind of future orientation is critical for healthy society. It's critical for a thriving business. It's critical for successful environmental relationships to raise children. It's all about being able to plan for the future, to have a future. And that's why this is so important.
Oops, sorry. So I wanted to touch base on that because we talk about what can we do within our community. And we talk about, so how are we going to change? What things can we change? And in the plan that you have, the state plan, it identifies the theory of change, these 6 components. But I want to highlight, thank you, the strategic plan Pauline just put up. I want to highlight this piece. It's around the quality, accessibility, and support, because this is where our partnership is going to be so critical. Because we've identified funds within the next 3 years that what we're going to implement, that we're going to start in year 1, we want to be able to sustain it in year 3. So we're going to look at implement alternative child development opportunities within the village level, bring those resources to families, because we know that, access to transportation is so hard. So how can we do that? How can we bring it to the village community? And so we've embedded that. And the goal is that if we did these things, if we work closely with the mayors and our other partners like Guam Housing, urban renewal, the early childhood systems, that we're going to see these and work with families to show and model and provide coaching of how do they support their children's development. Then we'll meet our outcomes. But we can't do it alone. We got to do it together with the community. So Pauline is going to share how we're going to do that.
So Hafade mayors, yes, we're really excited. Our Department of Public Health and Social Services received the preschool development grant, birth through 5. Elaine talked about how the first 5 years of life
Pauline,
are.
so sorry to
Yes?
interrupt you, but I'm just going to let you know that we're already a minute over time. So if we
Okay.
could kind of wrap that up real quick, I apologize.
Yes, really quick, and it is really quick. We piloted this program pre-COVID. We selected 3 villages in the central part of Guam. We had Aganya Heights, PD, and Mongmong Totomaiti that we launched Village Playtime. And so we're very excited. We're adding 3 more villages up north. So we will be contacting you, mayors there in that area. And then the 3rd phase will be the southern region. So children's work is play. And so teaching parents, and we have the curriculum all purchased. We hope to get tablets in the hands of all the families that will be participating. So it's a very fun thing. And please know that we will be contacting you directly. So thank you, mayors, for your constant support, and blessings to all.
Thank you, Pauline and Elaine. For those of you who have not hosted Village Playtime, I know Sinahanya has as well. I believe Santa Rita did as well in previous years. Oh, I think, did Barragata? No? Okay. So if you've never had a Village Playtime hosted in your village, please reach out to them. It is a very, it's insightful. You do not realize how many parents really walk out of this understanding more about how to relate to their children and how to even play with their children. And then you'll also find out how many parents want to do it again. So I know we've done it a couple times, at least in the village of PT since I've been mayor, through their help. And so I know they're adding 3 more, and I know they're looking towards the north, and then another 3 more at another time for the south. And if you can get on that list, I really encourage you to. I know that the larger they have a reason to their madness in the north. And so I did make a recommendation, but however it is that they decide, I think every village should host something similar to this. And if not this Village Playtime, then I know Elaine and Pauline are very helpful and available to talk to you about other programs for our families. Any questions for Elaine or for Pauline at this time?
Mayor, I just want to say that we're also, in addition to Village Playtime, we're going to be launching a Playgroup on Wheels. That means we're going to go, so this Village Playtime is one component, but if mayors have ideas of other ways that we could get families together, we're open, please call us. We have the Playgroup on Wheels that are going to go out, and we'll talk to different mayors who are interested on that. And we also want to share the learning. So we want mayors to think about who within their office that we could train with, that when we're gone, that they continue this. And so the training is going to be broader. We're stretching out our nets to see how we can support you as well. So
what is the one thing that they have that we don't have? It's the money. So they have the money to conduct these types of activities in your village. So please reach out to them if you're if you're inclined to. Any questions from any of the council members? None? Okay, ladies, thank you so much for being here, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you, mayors.
Okay,
Thank you.
adios. And we'll move on to so Pete Scrow is not able to present. He is in court. And so we'll reschedule that. We'll move on to the executive director's report, please.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Mayor's Council of Guam conference room. It's been a long time coming, but now that COVID seems to be declining on our island and continue to decline, it's good to see all of you back face to face. And I'd like to thank my staff, Elaine and Mary and Joe and Rika and everybody downstairs that have been helping. I'd especially like to thank the PD Mayor's office, Thea and the mayor's staff they were here till I believe 9 o'clock last night, trying to get this thing all set up. I'd like to thank the Sinaloa Mayor's office for working hard to make sure our audio and visuals are in place, Mario and Mike. I'd like to thank also the Hagåtña Mayor's office for helping us move some of our heavy stuff from downstairs up here. And basically, I'd like to thank all of you for your patience. Like I said, it's been a long time coming, but now we're here. In a couple of months, our office space up here will also expand because we do have additional space. For those of you facing me to the left of you, OHAP is there at this time, but they should be out of that space by May 31st, and then we'll be moving our senior citizens office over here, and also the additional admin assistants that we're picking up for the grants under ESF and ARPA. So those will be the changes coming in. And I'd also like to, Mayor Melissa is not here, as you know, her mom passed away. So on behalf of all of you, I know that we share and give our condolences to her and her family. There is no viewing for 10 Oliva Bang. Her funeral is set for next Monday. At the mom's request, there will be no viewing. So they're just going to do the funeral mass and go straight to the funeral. The FY23 budget that was due on March 23rd was submitted. It is basically the same budget as FY22. I ask you to please attend the public hearing when it is scheduled. I did speak with Senator Joe San Augustine, who is the person of the Committee on Appropriation, and he assured the 2.8 million. The 2.8 million that was coming from the Guam Highway Fund that is being slowly weaned off of us in FY23. They'll get it from the general fund, and that there is almost a guarantee that the talk that we had at the last meeting about the 2 employees being taken over to, 2 positions being taken over to Public Works will not happen. So we're glad that he has, assured us of that. The pyramid white goods purchase orders that you all have, if they have not called you yet, then I'm just making this announcement that they are now available to pick up white goods. You just need to go on their schedule. So please make sure you contact them. The Education Stabilization Fund has already been uploaded. We've sent an email out to all of you last week to show you where those funds are at, what categories they're in, and you all have individually, those of you that applied for ESF, the breakdown of the total amount of the grant that has been given you. You may submit your requisitions to our office. understanding that those that are over $50,000 will have to go out on bid. And some of you do have capital outlay projects. Those would have to be bid out by DPW and GSA. But anything under 50 that we get the requisitions for, we'll work with you. Rika, who is just in our office now handling the ESF, will work with all of you to make sure that the quotes that you need for your requisitions are all good and ready to go. So we have already received some requisitions for ESF, and we're working on those. The ARPA, the American Rescue Plan Act, also has been uploaded. Those of you, everyone that's receiving the $46,954, we are receiving already requisitions for that. In fact, I think the first POs for that went out yesterday, and those are for your operations fund. The additional ARPA funds that have been promised by the governor's office, we have, and I'm sure the vice president has communicated with the front office about the status of the $100,000 for each of your officers. We're working on getting that release. The ones for the heavy equipment is being handled by the Department of Public Works, and the other funds, the personnel, we are also using the personnel funding that they gave us under ARPA to pay for the COVID pay that most of you and all of your employees have been receiving. I just wanted to know that once we get out of this and go back into PCOR 2, there will be no longer be any COVID pay. Especially when senior centers open, there will no longer be no more COVID pay, because we'll be by that time back to normal. I don't know if Elaine has passed out to you, but everybody's waiting for the response from the Attorney General on the opinion of the open government law. She's passing it now. Basically, what the AG opined is that the Mayor's Council of Guam, us here, and all the MPCs are required to comply with the open government law. Any meeting that action is taken, where there is action to be done, must publicly notice their meetings in either the newspaper. Let me take that. Not either. It's in the newspaper, and there's a big and the OTEC website. So it's not just sufficient that you only publish it in the paper. It has to be also on the OTEC website. And for those of you that don't know where that is, Elaine can give you that information, because whoever is going to be posting your meetings also has to be registered with OTEC to be able to post those meetings. And the 5-day period does not count weekends or holidays, so be aware of that. The 2-day, the 48-hour notice, you can do it on weekends. It's the law does not stipulate whether or not the 48-hour can be done on weekends. The other thing on the AG's opinion, and you can see there from the opinion of the questions I did ask, is if an MPC is to host a meeting because there needs to be a public hearing that is required by another agency to fulfill the mandates of let's say an applicant for zone change or an applicant for other stuff with land management. The way the AG opined is that the Department of Land Management is responsible to make that public notice and pay for that, even though they are using the Mayor's Council of Guam or your mayor's office facilities. They are responsible to pay for that. There's also a move by the Department of Land Management that the applicant will pay land management as part of their application process. So I know that we're not funded for any of these notices. We have included it in our FY23, but as of now, for the next up to September 30 of this year, those of you that are having meetings, you have some of the ARPA money, set aside some of that to do your announcements. It's not a cheap thing. You know, it's costing us for every meeting close to $400. And so, and we're having ours every month. And if we have a special meeting, that has to be publicly noticed as well. So please read through it. If you have any more questions on it, you can send it to me and I will refer it back to the AG for more clarification. On the senior citizens, well, we'll be coming to that on the other part of the agenda, but there is a request by Public Health that for the third booster shots that are available now, that if any of the mayors who have senior centers, if you are amenable to having them come to your center to provide these booster shots, they are more than willing to do so. American Red Cross is donating 60 cases of water to each of the villages. Please coordinate with Ambrose Constantino at 688-0282 as to how, when, and how you will pick up your 60 cases of water at the FEMA warehouse in Barrigada. And on the quarterly governor's meeting, maybe at the end of this meeting, maybe the governor's special assistant can let us know when that will be. I understand it's been rescheduled because of some conflict, schedule conflicts. So he will let us know. And I will be at the public hearing today at 1:30. And the president will bring up the subject of that public hearing. Are there any questions?
The mayor of MTM is recognized.
Water distribution, they're going to be delivering it to the mayor's office.
Okay, well, that's a change because as of yesterday, they're still asking for the mayors to pick it up.
Yeah, I spoke to him yesterday.
That's good.
The mayor of Chalampago is recognized.
Yes, thank you. Backing up a little, and this is not Red Cross. This is the opine from the AG's office regarding these NPC meetings that now have to be live streamed, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, it's all well and good. I can respect the opinion that's been published by the AG's office, but we did not and have not budgeted for these meetings. I mean, that's $230 per advertisement twice before the actual meeting occurs. But even beyond that, Angel, the infrastructure, the cameras, the microphones, et cetera, how are we going to pay for that stuff? And you're talking about utilizing ARPA funds. That's all well and good, but you know, if the budget we've submitted for fiscal year 2023 is going to be the same as 2022, I just can't see, at least for my particular district, how I'm going to pull out, you know, $460 times 12 months just for the advertising of these meetings. In addition to, I mean, are we going to, is the Mayor's Council of Guam going to allow us to use their subscription, their YouTube subscription to live stream, or are each of the individual mayor's office going to be required to set up their own YouTube channel or Facebook? What, I mean, there's got to be, I mean, we've got to have some guidance. We're not, you know, I don't know about a lot of the other villages, but I know that my village is not equipped. I mean, you know, the staff that I have, they're not equipped to do some of the things that we're able to do at this level because you have the talent pool to do so. So for those villages that does not have the talent pool to make this happen, what are we going to do? Where is the assistance going to come from? Are you going to allow us to hire people with that skill set? Are we going to add more staff to each of the villages so that we can do all of this when it needs to be done? You know, I'm looking for help, guidance.
Yeah, I hear you, Mayor, and that's one of the questions I did raise to the AG is that because we were not funded for any of this, um, what do we do? Of course, the response is you have to do it. And so I know your question of where do we get the money and the talent to do all of this. We did put it in the FY23 budget, but we can't wait till 23 to pay for the ones that are from this month till September. And so we'll work with you and I'll work with the governor's office and BBMR to see whether or not they can readjust some of the ARPA money that they're giving us to give more out to the villages to be able to comply with the law. I mean, even the governor did in her message to the legislature when she signed the open government law, did admit that she's signing this even though she knows that many of the agencies, not just the mayor's council, are not equipped or not ready to be able to carry out the mandates of this law because they were never funded for it. And so we'll work with them, Mayor. And like I said, it's the onus is on us to make it happen, but we just can't make it happen without any money. So I'll work on that end to make sure that we're able to at least find some funding. I know some mayors that already said that if this is the mandate, then they're going to cut their MPCs from once a month to probably only quarterly to save money. And there's nothing in the law that says you have to have it every month. You can do that on your schedule. And then the other thing that, of course, like I said, you read through that opinion. If there's no requirement for a quorum at your meeting, you're just having a meeting to discuss your Halloween or your Easter or whatever that's coming up, then those kind of meetings do not have to be properly noticed. But if you're going to discuss those at a non-publicly noticed meeting, you can't take any action until you get to your MPC to take that action. But Mayor, I hear you and I'll work on that.
And so can I just chime in on that as well? Mayor Gogwe, I understand you mentioned this before, and I think the long-term solution is to amend the law. And there's just absolutely, when you're in listening to you, thinking about hiring an employee, additional infrastructure that we don't have that needs to be here today for everyone, it's almost impossible, right? One, because we don't have the money. Two, we have to follow the procurement process. So in what I would like to say is between myself, perhaps even Mayor Hoffman, and anyone else, if you plan to have a meeting and you need help to produce something right away, I want to help you. I want to help you because the YouTube channel is free. If you have a phone, we can just use your phone to help you. That I think is the easy, quick solution so that you can have your meeting and you can operate, the way you need to operate in the village. But perhaps the long-term solution is for the council to introduce legislation somehow that amends the law so that it allows us to be open with our meetings, but it doesn't require us to have all this infrastructure and perhaps even an employee. And admittedly, and thank you, Angel, for thanking the staff. I was going to do that at announcements, but admittedly, the Sinahani Mayor's office, my office, and Angel staff have done significantly more than their role. And they have put many, many hours into this and putting this hall together for us. And so we are lucky that Mayor Hoffman and myself and Angel, we have a staff that can do that. And you're right, not everyone is equipped. So to comply with the law, to know so that you can continue with your operations, I'm telling you and letting you know that you can reach out to me and we can help you. Between my staff and maybe someone else's staff, we can certainly help you. But I think in the long term, introducing legislation to amend the law is necessary. The Mayor Chalampag was recognized.
And if that's the case, Mayor Alec and Mayor Hoffman, you're intending to work on legislation to try to get the law amended. I'd happily, assist in any way I can. I mean, understand this. I mean, we as mayors cater to our village. I don't have a problem holding a meeting and publicly advertising it within my village. I mean, we do newsletters, et cetera, and it really does reach out to most of the corners of our village, you know, and we've never turned away anybody from attending our village or chiming in via email or WhatsApp messages and asking us to entertain, you know, their ideas at our meetings. But you know, as I concur with Mayor Alec, when you take a look at the intent of the legislation that was passed, forcing all public meetings to be live streamed, et cetera, I mean, those to me were intended for more island-wide issues. When we discuss issues in our community, it's specific to our community, has no direct impact on PD, has no direct impact on Senania, Tumun Harmon, Barragata, you know, it's has an impact on our community. And it's not like they're going to be walking, you know, 35 miles or driving 35 miles to get to our meeting because it's going to impact them. My village is 6 square miles. Sinahania is half a square mile. 1 mile now. Mongmon Totomaiti, I believe, is a little over 1.5 square miles. I mean, so it's not like access to our meetings is impossible. And so I get frustrated because, you know, it's all of these unfunded mandates that drive me nuts. And we're operating, if you take a look at our budget this year and last year, if it weren't for the fact that we're being subsidized by federal funds, you know, we're operating at a budget that is almost like 1/3 of what we were doing 10 years ago. That's ridiculous. And then these unfunded mandates are increasing our costs. And all of the other things we have to decide. Are we going to rob Peter to pay Paul? I don't get it. And so I'm hoping that we can somehow collaborate as a council and come together as a council to make sure that the legislature understands the impact they're having on our ability to do our jobs. And if they truly believe, as they oftentimes tell us, that we are in fact the frontline, you know, representatives of our people, then by God, quit passing things or enacting laws that are providing chains or handcuffs on us to do our job. And that's how I feel now. I feel like we're just having all of these unfunded mandates, or all these unfunded mandates are being passed, and they still expect us to do all of the things we did 10 years ago, and even more so today. So I just, whatever needs to be done, but this needs to be corrected. Thank you.
Yes, Mayor, and the President did allude to amendments for the open government law. We're already currently working on that. We have different groups that have communicated with us that they too, as an applicant for a hearing, they too are having difficulties complying with the open government law. So they're asking us if we can work with them, and I said, yes, we will, in making amendments to the open government law so that, you know, we can all comply. So we'll work on that, Mayor. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Angel. Moving into committee reports, boards and commissions. Are there any boards and commissions that would like to make a report to the council? Have any of your commissions met recently? No? No committees? Okay, well, our committees have met. So I do have some reports then from the Elder Justice Advisory Council. If you're familiar, they came to us at one of our meetings because they wanted our support. We gave our support as the Mayor's Council for the Elder Justice Center. And so what the Elder Justice Center wants to do now is to come out to our Manamco centers. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to work with them for the month of May, perhaps to see if they can start coming out to your centers to share with the Manamco about the services that they provide. And so typically, the Elder Justice Center will help with 4 different types of services. And they are specifically power of attorney, last will and testament, living will, and advice regarding guardianship over an adult. They certainly have had other requests. And so the council will go before the board of directors of the public defenders to get permission to include other services for the Elder Justice Center. The center has actually been working very well. They accept cases and they close cases regularly on a monthly basis. So we haven't had any issues on the center's end, but please know that we'll be reaching out to the different centers to see if they can come and talk to your Manamco as soon as they open. Are there any questions about the Elder Justice Center or the Advisory Council? Okay, the Commission on Decolonization as well met, and there's certainly going to be, we're working on some information to get disseminated to the mayor's offices. I did request not to have pamphlets because most of us still have service windows. So they'll have posters where there's QR codes that they can scan to access the information. And if they need, they can get it online. And if you need any hard copies, we certainly can get that delivered to you rather than printing and delivering and you're not able to disseminate them. The commission also encourages our residents to visit the Fanogi Tamora exhibit at the Guam Museum. I don't know if anyone has gone to visit it, but it is open 9 to 4 at the Guam Museum until June. And the last committee the last commission is the War Claims Adjudication Committee. We will have our first adjudication hearing next Wednesday, and we have been working through some of the processes that need to happen in order to pay out the Manamco. And I don't think there's any issues so far. We'll be able to review their applications before the actual meeting so we can adjudicate them on Wednesday, those that have submitted. And I do want to thank you on behalf of the committee for helping disseminate the applications to your residents. I know that the mayors are always on top of everyone's minds when it comes to disseminating information. And so if you have any issues regarding the war claims applications or the adjudication committee, please let me know. And I'll keep you posted about what happens after that meeting on Wednesday. Any other committees would like to report? Okay, on the standing committees, are there any standing committees that would like to report? The Vice Mayor of Manila is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. So regarding the Guam Coalition Against Sexual Assault and Family Violence is waived tomorrow. Again, the coalition has identified a lot of the same villages that they've used in the past. So it is from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. tomorrow, April 8th. And at Dededo, they're asking to use the new flea market, Tumuning at the ITC intersection, Baragada at the tri-intersection at Tizen, Mingilao in front of the night market, Hagutnya at the Chief Kapua Park, Asan, Maina, and PT will be lumped together at the Asan Beach Park. Jotnya, it was in front of the church, and they're also asking if they can have representation in Haget and Humatek. Again, that's just for tomorrow. Unfortunately, the printer wasn't able to get all the sizes in time. So there will be no shirts until before the end of this month, which is the whole month is being observed. But they are going to be dropping off the signs and banners in time for tomorrow's waves. So we thank everyone for their cooperation and their support on behalf of the coalition.
Thank you, Vice. I do want to say, though, that if your village is not included in that dissemination, please join your neighboring village. So I know that in the past, the commission or the coalition didn't have or wasn't going to go around the island and have a wave at every village. And there were some villages, some mayors who made comments that they don't have any major thoroughfares. But please, you and your staff or your volunteers in the village can join a neighboring village to wave. So that's tomorrow, starting at 4 o'clock. And it's real quick, 4 to 6. Everybody knows how to campaign wave. This is a different kind of campaign. So please support the coalition. They certainly support us when we need things as well. Thank you, Vice Mayor, for attending those meetings. I know sometimes they can get long and they're often, so I do appreciate it. Is there anything else that you'd like to report on? No, okay, very good, thank you.
I'm sorry, sir.
Yes.
Vice, could we also get the information? So maybe Santarita and Hoggett can team up since we're not on the listing. Maybe we can find an area.
You come down to Asan. No, I'm serious. Yeah. So,
Yeah, we can definitely find a spot.
oh, would you
close
like
our-
to do it on the bay?
In on the bay, or even maybe Taco Bell down in Sumai?
Taco Bell right in Sumai? Fuck the.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. The mayor of Hoggett is recognized and is asking if they can have a way for us, Santarita and Hoggett. And they've done it before at the Inn on the Bay, where Santarita and Hoggett merged. So if they could, I think that's if they have additional banners, then that would be great, especially since both mayors are willing to do it. Or wherever they want to have it. And I think, Mayor Kevin, did you want? Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
So what I can do is I can actually resend out the sign-up sheet that was made by the coalition. Because another thing was we're hoping that all these areas are represented, as they do have partnering organizations that will be joining us. So we do want to make sure that we have the usual safety measures out, like the cones and if need be and so forth. And we'll go ahead and we'll just send that out on email. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Santarita and Hoggett for joining the wave. Any other standing committees like to report? There is one last one, the legislative and finance. Well, before we do that, the budget. So I know that we did ask at our special meeting to have a little budget committee, subcommittee formed. And I'm asking if that committee can meet before our next meeting, before our next regular meeting. And I'll go ahead and I do know that in our minutes, we know who wanted to participate in that committee. It is time to discuss that so that as we have more discussions with the legislature, we can bring our concerns to them. So actually, can I ask the vice president if you can convene a meeting, please? And then you guys can decide how that makeup is gonna happen. Okay, I appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. And then the Legislative and Finance Committee, I'm bringing it up as a committee report because it affects us and we've heard about it, Bill 260 and 261 regarding the liquid fuels tax. We have been invited to offer testimony on behalf of the council, and I typically do not like to offer testimony in favor or against a bill if I have not received a consensus from the body. I am asking Angel to be present today at 1:30 to offer some statements about the bill, but perhaps not to stand in favor or against the bill at this point, because I think as a council, we need to discuss the ramifications of 260 and 261. I'm not sure if anyone has reviewed the bills and whether or not you want to have a little discussion on it. I do have to say that I'm torn. I believe that supporting it is, I believe both ways. I can go both ways. I just need questions answered. And I do know that Angel understands my sentiments as how it affects the council. And so if our current appropriations are going to be affected by eliminating the liquid fuels tax, then of course, I am not in support of it. If it doesn't affect our current appropriations, then I'm willing to consider supporting the bill. Of course, the end result, if it's positive for the consumer, I am in support of it. But we're talking about robbing Peter to pay Paul again. I think we have to consider a stance based on the truths, the facts that we receive from the senators as it affects the mayor's council. And so that's my stance. on Bill 260 and 261 so far. Are there any discussion on this bill? On either? Okay, the mayor of Chalampago is recognized.
Yeah, Mayor, I'm glad you raised this issue. And although I haven't read in detail 260 and 261, I've heard a lot of dialogue as recent as this morning regarding the repeal of the fuels tax. Both the rise in the fuels tax that was done several years ago and basically remained in place, and then the elimination of the existing, prior to the rise. Now, I think for many of you, you know that prior to me running for mayor, I came from the private sector. And I shared this analogy with some people based on my experience of a rise in a tax and then a reduction, a reversion of that tax back to its normal level, which was the GRT. Many of you remember that, it's probably about 20 years ago, because of the financial situation of the government of Guam, the legislature went ahead and raised the GRT for about a year from 4% to 6%. And then they repealed it. They said, okay, we were going to fulfill our promise, so we're going to repeal it and bring it back down to 6%. And I think if those of you remember that time when they repealed it, nothing changed. We thought all the prices that were raised and we remember that when it was raised, prices went up because they passed on the increase of the GRT to the consumer. But when the legislature repealed that 2% hike and brought it back down to 4% GRT, the retail prices did not go down. And that's my biggest concern. We're trying to remove a tax that's basically funding our village road improvements, our village road repairs. Because we know that federal funds cannot be used right now for village road repairs. And that potentially includes the infrastructure funding that Guam received, recently received or was approved for them to receive, for those federal funds to be used for village road repairs, because I don't believe DPW, even though they've requested a waiver to allow Guam to use some of the federal funds for village road repairs, I don't believe that federal highway request of federal FHWA has in fact been approved. So we go ahead and repeal it, assuming that we can use federal funds to repair village roads and upgrade village roads. If it's not approved, then we've repealed it's the primary funding source, for these repairs. So what are we going to do now? Just like they're taking away our funding from the Territorial Highway Fund that we've been utilizing, or that's been subsidizing our budget, because we in fact are linked to road maintenance and road repairs. But I guess the legislature just didn't see it that way. So now they're going to try to replace it with general fund monies. So then when you take away general fund monies to offset what they're taking away and supposedly giving back to DPW, they're turning right around and saying, we're going to give it back to DPW, but now we're going to actually give you nothing because we're repealing the tax in its entirety. It just doesn't make sense to me. But more than anything, what's being claimed here is that it's going to reduce the cost of fuel. And I just don't buy it. It's like I saw when they increased the GRT and businesses were quick to pass on that increase to the consumer. But when they reverted the GRT back down to 4%, did you find any of your day-to-day expenses any less than it was after they repealed it? I didn't. Not in groceries, not in services at the gas stations, not in the restaurants, nothing went down to be commensurate with the rollback of that increase in the GRT. And I'm saying this, and I was in the private sector. And as a matter of fact, I can tell you, when that increase occurred, I'm one of the few businesses that ate the cost. And those businesses that didn't eat the cost and went ahead and passed it on to their consumers, when they rolled it back, I did not see them do a commensurate rollback of their retail costs. And that to me was just wrong. I think morally wrong. But I don't buy it. I don't buy that if we repeal these taxes, that all of a sudden they're going to pass on that savings to the consumers. It's not, and in fact, it's not something I think we should risk, because it really is a special fund source for the maintenance and upgrades of our village roads. And we're having problems finding funds for that already. And we're going to look at making it worse if we pass these two bills. So that's just my opinion, my take.
Well, thank you for your thoughts. And I do agree with you, because those are the questions. That's one of the other questions that I had was, how is it that we will really truly, or will we truly realize a savings for the consumer, right? That's part of what we want to know. And apparently there's justification or there's proof that it will, but like you mentioned, Mayor, you're right. We've seen in the past where they say it is and then it doesn't. So those are the things we have to consider. But I still think as a council, we should issue a stance on both 260 and 261. Any other thoughts on this bill? I just received an email from the speaker. I could send it to you, or I could read it to you real quick. Would you like me to read it, or would you like me to send it to you? Oh, read it, okay. So yeah, it just actually came in. So it is addressed to me. I write to humbly seek the support of the village mayors and the Mayor's Council of Guam as to the repeal of the liquid fuels tax as proposed in Bill 261-36. Repeal of said tax would save consumers 23 cents per gallon of gasoline at the fuel pumps. This means it would benefit each and every person who buys fuel within a household, regardless of income, and especially those who are working 1, 2, or 3 jobs and who are transporting children and families. This bill does not reduce or repeal the appropriations to the mayors or affect any other current appropriations spelled out in the Budget Act. Those appropriations remain in law, and the mayors are entitled to receive those funds, and I remain committed to that. The repeal of the tax may reduce the overall revenues deposited in the Guam Highway Fund by 10.5 million, but any shortfall in that fund, like other special funds, should be covered by the excess revenues in the general fund. I just want to add a note there. That is a concern for me, because the two things, we are hearing that there's excess funds. So, but we're also not understanding how they're being spent. I just wanted to add that in, just me. In February, the latest CRER report showed 62, the latest CRER report showed 62 million in excess general fund revenues for fiscal 22. 10.5 million of the 62 million excess general fund revenues funds should therefore be prioritized and dedicated to the Guam Highway Fund projects, including the mayor's offices, as currently appropriated. It is a matter of designating the excess funds for this purpose versus any other purpose that is not vetted by the legislature or the people of Guam. Rising costs of goods and services affects family in every village, and this measure is intended to directly reduce costs of fuel in the only way that Guam can control in the face of global oil issues, shipping costs, and other factors beyond our control. I urge your support for this measure to assist all residents who are struggling to make ends meet. This government acted swiftly when tax cuts were threatening critical government services, and we must respond in kind to keep this balance while prioritizing the needs of the people of Guam. Sincerely, Teresa Mterlahin. So I just received that. It answers some of the questions, but I don't think it answers all. I think Mayor Gogui also brings mentions another point. Are there any other, the Mayor Chalampagos is recognized.
Yes, I mean, I hear what the speaker is saying. So then if she believes that to be true, okay, and that's what she's expecting to occur, then I say that, if we're going to try to avoid these unintended consequences by the passage of legislation and a repeal of these taxes, then I say that included in the legislation, then businesses, I mean, and there aren't that many, the companies that provide fuel to this island and retail fuel to this island must provide the government of Guam with their formulary on how they calculate these prices. And if we're going to repeal this law, they must stick to that formulary that they're utilizing to determine these prices so that it reflects a commensurate reduction of the fuel costs to the people of Guam by this cost savings. And if they raise the prices outside of that formulary, then they have to pay the taxes. But can, in fact, the legislature mandate that? How people price, their markups are generally speaking proprietary. And what you do for your business and what Payless does for their business and Cost You Less and Shell, their markups are proprietary. They take a look at their business expenses and determine how much they need to mark up in order to cover their overhead. So are we going to ask for that formulary from each of the companies that retail fuel on this island, and that if they're going to enjoy the break that the government is willing to give them and eliminating this tax, are they going to stick to that formulary, during the repeal of this tax? That if they don't stick to that formulary, they're going to, in fact, have to go back to paying this, 4%, 6%, whatever the fuel tax is per gallon. Because unless we do that, there's no assurances that this cost savings that's going to be enjoyed by these bills is going to be passed on to the consumer. And that's my concern, is that we're expecting businesses to take the high road. And if they have a savings passed on to them by the government, that they're going to pass that savings on to the consumer. And unfortunately, over the last several decades, I just haven't seen that happening. And that's been, a real heartbreak of mine. And one of the reasons why I'm very cautious about, supporting this bill.
Thank you, Mayor Gogui. I believe we're probably along the same lines. And so I do feel that it is necessary to send in some type of a reaction to the legislature. And so I know that our executive director and I will work on that, and we'll get your approval before it's sent. Any other standing committees would like to report? Thank you. Moving on to unfinished business, our senior center operations. I do want to say that May 2nd is going to be the official opening of our centers. The governor is aware of that. And of course, we're hoping that those centers that need to get working with DCS and SCO are continually doing that. We will not have any more status meetings unless it is absolutely necessary. And of course, those affected mayors, if you have an issue and you think we need to have the status meetings, please let me know and we can reconvene them. Otherwise, we just have the two villages. Of course, Manilao, we understand Manilao was not prepared because of the clinic that was there, but we're hoping that you'll be ready by May 2nd. Vice Mayor, do you have any comments on that?
Yes, no, we did meet already about that. So our intention right after Easter is to go ahead and get the place prepared.
Great, thank you so much. And then you'll also get your inspection, right, by DEH and be prepared. Okay, great. The Vice Mayor of Sinahanya. Mayor, I'm so sorry. The Mayor of Sinahanya is recognized.
If we can please ask DSC for the 4-week notice already, Mark, for the non-delivery of food. That was part of the deal. And we are Monday is going to be the first of the 4-week notice. part. So, that's part of we need to help transition those people from
Correct.
home delivery or with the pickup delivery or the home delivery meals into the different kinds of care. Because I know that was what we were trying to do, get some of them into the homebound care and have them reclassified their IPR. So public health needs to get that
That's correct.
notice out ASAP.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that reminder. That did slip my mind. The only other issue, of course, then the mayor is not here to discuss it, so we don't need to get into it. But unless anyone knows about Melissa, no? Okay, well, the mayor is not here, so we won't go into that. But just in case Melissa is not ready, the mayor of Zotnia is also. So, okay, so just in case Melissa is not ready, and then going over to Hoggett. So, okay, so the centers for the Manamco for at Meleso Center will be accommodated regardless of whether that center is ready to open. That's plain and simple. Okay, any questions on the senior center operations? Thank you. Moving on to the foster care project. So,
Mr. President, just to remind also those centers to renew your gaming license, your bingo license for those centers. You need to make sure they've all expired in December. They expire always in December. So please renew your gaming license for bingo.
thank you. The foster care project that we started in November, we agreed that it will end in May. And so I was talking to Vice Mayor Kevin from Manila to see how we can actually close our foster care project and any updates that we have from the from public health on any more foster care recruitment. Vice, do you have any updates from NAFE?
Yes, I'm gonna defer to my counterpart.
Oh,
to make
very
the
good.
report.
Oh, well, can you introduce your counterpart, please?
Yes, so again, this is Andy Kanata from St. Francis School. Andy Kanata was one of 11 students who were selected to be a part of the annual Island Leadership Day, which is today. So we do have a youth governor, youth lieutenant governor, and there's only one mayor or vice mayor. So he was a part of the oratorical contest. So Vice Mayor, can you make the report?
Okay, hi. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mandy Kinatsa. Today I am serving as the Vice Mayor of Mangilao. I would like to report that we have surpassed our goal of 19 foster families. As of today, the new number of registered foster families is 29. Our foster care campaign ends in May. Like the president said, May is a designated foster care month. We are open to new ideas on how to celebrate the foster care month in May. Thank you for all your support so far.
Well, thank you, Vice Mayor. Good job. Congratulations. You did very well.
Just to reiterate Andy's comment, we were going for 19, and as of this morning, there's 29. Yes.
29. Good job. So 29 foster families recruited. Again, we don't know which villages they came from, but we'll be happy that we were all a part of that. And so, Vice Mayor, I did talk to the Vice Mayor about how we can culminate the foster care project campaign in May. If there are any ideas how we can do it, of course, any way to bring attention to it. And I think we all did a great job bringing attention to the need for foster families. And because of that, they have 29 new ones. So if there's any way or any ideas that anyone thinks we can do to culminate it in May, the floor is open for suggestions. Anyone? No? Okay, well, WhatsApp works. And Executive Director, do you have any ideas? Our Executive Director always has bright ideas, but maybe not today because he's very busy today. He's writing testimonies, yeah. Okay, well, so we'll keep in touch throughout April so that we can share some of our ideas and hopefully just close somehow in May and hopefully recruit a little more throughout the month. There's so much going on in May. Not only is it Manamco month, but it's Mother's Day. And of course, it's also foster care month, I believe. So hopefully, Oh, and then there's Memorial Day, right? And then it's gonna be Liberation. So, okay, we'll keep in touch with them on that. Moving on to our last item on unfinished business, the 78th Liberation festivities. I do want to say that I did meet with the governor, the lieutenant governor, and with GVB on the possibilities of having or celebrating our liberation. And because we feel that it is necessary to begin celebrating as usual, we're all concerned about how things are going to be funded, right? And how we're going to execute. And so we are assured that at least for a parade, it'll be funded, and the memorials will happen. Of course, it's not going to be funded your 3,000 that we typically do, because in the past we gave 5,000, 500 and 400, and they were beautiful. So of course, there's limited funds. So we're going to work towards providing a little funding to the memorial so that they can still produce a beautiful memorial. So I do want to say that we're in our working session, we're ironing out all our parade issues and working with alongside the different departments and agencies to pair up with them to conduct, to execute a 78th Liberation Day parade. And that will certainly be on July 21st. So here's the challenge. The challenge is to have 19 parade entries. And I know all of you are excited. And everyone's raising their hand. So I'm not asking, I don't think we're asking for a float from the village, but we're asking for an entry to participate in the parade. Simply because, you know, we've all been through some rough times. And not only are we liberated from war, but we've been liberated from COVID. And so how is it then that we can support one another to have or to enter the parade? I know that I've had casual discussions with some of the mayors, and of course there's prizes, right, for floats. And cost is always a big deal. So I'm throwing it out now. I'm opening this floor for discussion on how, as a council, we can participate in the parade. And maybe it's not about winning, but it's just about participating. So there's concern that, you know, Hoggett is going to have a 90-foot trailer, and Inalahan is going to have a 200-foot trailer, and Barrigada is only going to have a 10-foot trailer. So who's going to win? Of course, we think the 200-foot trailer is going to win, but then Manila only has a dance troupe. But so my thought is, well, Manila has a dance troupe, but Manila's dance troupe is dressed in Las Vegas style costumes that cost just as much as the 200-foot trailer. So could Manila win? I think Manila should win. I'm just tossing out the ideas because what I would like to share is I don't think anything is impossible. So however we can help participate in the parade, I think we should. I keep on looking back at Santa Rita because, you know, I know Santa Rita is always prepared to win something. So maybe Santa Rita can help somebody else who's not you know, who's not, doesn't have too many ideas. So again, I'm opening the floor to discussion on parade entry because it is really our hope to have 19 parade entries. There is a theme, so the theme will be released. We will have a joint conference with the governor's office, GVB, and the mayor's council. So we will release that theme all together so that it's not just, you know, it's not piecemealed, and it's good to get everybody together. Yes, the mayor of who? The mayor of, the vice mayor of Barrigada is recognized.
I think my suggestion might be, let's get a couple of villages together or tri-villages together so we could join in building one big float. You know, like putting each villages together because it's hard. So now we're reuniting, getting together.
right? Maybe we could do that. We can. I mean, the possibility is there. If a village wants to combine, I'm not against that. I think what we'd have to do is we'd have to work out price, right, and criteria. So, but there's also some villages who may not want to combine, and that's fine too. The Vice Mayor of Manila is recognized.
So what's our financial commitment to the actual Liberation Parade, if they're going to be assisting?
So the Mayor's Council is not putting anything out. We're just asking the mayors to participate by entering in the parade. The mayor of Santa Rita is recognized. Sir, can you turn your microphone? Thank you. Oh, just, there you go.
What happened to the liberation candidates? Isn't that, I mean, wasn't that the most moneymaker for us to handle the parade?
That's correct. And so as you might recall, we've been bringing up the subject since January, and we haven't really, there was never any real commitment by anyone to help us lead the Queen's contest. And so we've had many different meetings regarding the Queen's contest. And so it was decided that we wouldn't pursue the Queen's contest because it was hard to raise funds, right, right now. And so yes, so there's no Queen's contest, not this year.
What's so hard about selling tickets?
Well, for Santa Rita, probably not hard. Well, Mayor, it's okay. I mean, we can, do you want to propose a Queen's contest?
I mean, we don't have to have it, but if we're talking about.
You just need to
financial-
speak into the microphone, sir. You just pull it
We
down.
don't have to have it, but we're talking about financial. I think that's the easiest way to make money to help cover the cost for the parade and whatever we're having.
So the cost that we're talking about is going to be borne by the mayor's office alone. We're not talking about costs to actually produce the parade that we typically were in charge of. So the only cost that well, I don't want to say the only, but
prices,
the cost. So all of that's taken care of. So we're not putting out money for prizes. We're not putting out money for renting any portable toilets, any hand washing stations, the dumpster, the disposal, the trash, all the maintenance issues. We're not putting out money for the reviewing stand, for the decoration of the reviewing stand. Everything that we typically are in charge of putting out money for, we are not putting out money. We're only charged with putting out an entry for the parade. So whatever costs you need for the parade entry is the cost that you need to be concerned about. The mayor of Chalampag was recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. So let me get this right. You know, in your discussions with the governor, and lieutenant governor, we're wanting to do a parade this year. And they're asking or encouraging all 19 municipalities to have an entry in the parade. I kind of agree with you. You know, entry could be a float, entry could be a group, entry could just be residents you gathered together and say, hey, we're going to have a banner and we're going to walk down Marine Corps Drive representing our village, because we want to be represented. And doing a float this late in the game is one, too costly and probably more challenging than we're able to take on this particular year. Understand all of that. But when you say we're not going to bear the cost of, so we're not going to have a reviewing stand, we're not going to have PA systems along the parade route to announce, you know, the different entries into the parade. Are we foregoing all that? And we're just going to have a day where we invite people to line up and march down Marine Corps Drive for liberation? I mean,
no, all of that is being paid for
through
GVB.
GVB. Okay, understood. And so, I mean, I applaud the idea, but I also want to point out, having chaired the parade in the past, is that when you take a look at the entries, there's roughly about a little over 100, maybe 120 entries, minus the 19 from the districts. The remainder is the private sector or departments and agencies and all that stuff. You know, the question is, are we going to be able to convince them to participate? I mean, I know the governor has influence over the departments like Public Works, Airport Authority, Port Authority that normally participate. But then when you, even if you subtract the government entries, at least half of those are the private sectors. Cars Plus, Triple J, Foremost, Lucky Supplies, et cetera, et cetera. Have we made an effort to reach out to these businesses to see whether or not they'd be interested in and be willing to participate in a parade this year? Because I think that's going to make a huge difference, because I would assume we're still going to charge an entrance fee, so that we can offset at least some of the cost, even if it's just enough to raise monies for the portable toilets. And I know Angel has a real understanding of the cost just to rent portable toilets. It's not cheap. So just wondering if any of that has been done with regard to the other departments and agencies, and more importantly, the private sector.
So yes, the agencies do know about the parade. They've been part of our discussion. And as far as taking care of all those logistics and paying for them, again, that has been discussed. The fees for entry, there is discussion about not charging any fees this year, because there may not be any need to charge fees. The discussion on the slots, the spectator slots along Marine Corps Drive is certainly going to happen. I know the question is asking about overnight camping. That again is being discussed. Is there going to be a fee? The proposal is that there's going to be no fee for the camping. However, applications still have to be submitted, and they'll still have to do the process where they line up at DPR and go in for an application, and then they're still going. I don't know if there's going to be a deposit, but there could be a deposit, right? So that they have to clean up their area and then get it returned. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible for residents to participate and for organizations to be a part of the parade. And yes, we have received calls for entering the parade for whether they're floats or just other units. So there is interest. There's certainly interest. And we just want to make sure that all the villages are, represented as much as possible, simply because, again, there is money that you need to invest in a float entry, but there could be less if there was another type of entry. And again, that's the discussion that we're having here. The Mayor of Hoggett is recognized.
So that's the same type of, that was the same suggestion that I brought up. And, being that, when I attended the Liberation festivities in CNMI, it was a very, very nice Liberation parade that they had. And the agencies actually utilized what they had in their facilities, right? So they used their trailers that they had, they used their own trucks to pull. And for a simple entry, that would be nice, right? But then again, we stand at the I don't know, maybe it might be negative, right, from our constituents that, oh, our mayor can only afford to put in a trailer that we're pulling the trash with versus Santa Rita may have, like Mayor Alex said, a 20 by 20 footer or a 40 footer. So just to make it all the same, we were going back and forth for the entry, just to put out for an entry. And so I was kind of making a big deal with Mayor Alec, and he's laughing at me because I kept putting it out that it costs money to build a float. Not only the time and the energy that it takes away from our short manpower staff, but it just takes a lot to build a float. It's anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000, $8,000, not including the out of pocket that the mayors pay for the volunteers that come every night, whether it's for hospitality, for eating, for whatever it may be. It just costs a lot of money. And so at the end of the meeting, I said, if we're going to have the Liberation, we'll probably still put out a float, only because in the end, they're just going to say, yet the mayor could only do that, right? So it just, I guess the different ideas of just having some kind of representation is there. But I think if we could all just, come to an agreement that, maybe to be non-competitive, I mean, the prices is really nothing. Even if it's $1,000, you're really not making back any of the money that you're spending on the float. For our municipality, we lose a lot of time. We have 2 fiestas, we have the Memorial, we have Liberation, and it's just a very, very busy time for us. But just for the, the true support and the representation of the village, then, we'll probably end up putting one together. So I just wanted to add, because Mayor Alec keeps looking down my way, only because of representation. But if I had it my way, I would probably follow the same way that they had it over in Saipan where they just had it on trailers, to be, very, very cost effective. Villages were still represented, and, it's non-competitive, but at least it's showing that we're still there, we're still representing, we're still coming out of this pandemic, and we're still at a low budget, but we're still there showing our colors for our municipality. So I think either way, if we're going to put out a trailer pulled by our own official to save money, or we're going to put a 20 or 40-foot trailer together, more of in a dance group, it's still the same representation, but at least showing that, we are coming out together as one community, and we're beating, this COVID-19, and we're as one.
Well, thank you, Mayor. And I want to kind of consider that one idea that you talked about no prize. And I know that's, you're right, $1,000 doesn't cover our expenses in a float. Could we consider the prize being something else? Public perception is a lot. Could we have our own kind of competition where there was some type of voting, right, by the general public for each village entry? And we can do, it could be something, I'm just trying to think out of the box, outside of $1,000 prize. Mayor, Kevin, I mean, if that's, would you consider proposing something like that?
Again, it's just to represent, right? So
Right.
that's our main purpose for this year's festivities. And Mayor Dell brought up a good point about, the Queen's Committee, and I'm sure he's ready he's been the leader of the Queen's delivering a queen every year in the competition. So I think it should be really more for just representation. And I think given $1,000, I don't know, it's not enough. It's really not enough. For those of us that build floats, we know that the $1,000 easily comes out of our pockets for the whole entire month of July. We start building starting July all the way to the 21st, and just the only people making money is just the beer companies, really. Because that's the people that want to come and volunteer. If you have that kind of hospitality, okay, then we're going to be there to help support. That's being realistic. So really,
But I'm glad that
$1,000
Harvard will have a float, right? That's the end result.
We will have a float.
That's great.
sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So any other discussion then on our participation in the parade? The Mayor of Chalampag was recognized.
Yeah, I mean, kind of playing off of the Mayor of Hoggett's, Mayor Susuiko's comments. I mean, I think what I'm hearing you say is that, participation is key, and trying to make it non-competitive might be the way to go this year. And that's not a bad idea. And can we get all of the mayors to agree that we're going to try to make it non-competitive? No need for $1,000 prize, at least amongst the mayors, amongst the villages, the municipalities. But more than anything, I think what you were also trying to allude to, if I heard you correctly, is try to agree to a standard. And so we have trucks that are the same.
In the interest of time, can there be a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion that we agree to a standard. One of our trailers, and at least the ones that we all have the same of, because there were 19 trailers bought, and And actually, what is 38 trucks, 19 of one kind and 19 of another kind, and one or the other, but we used one of those trucks to pull the trailer, and that's your entry. And how well you decorate it or how poorly you decorate it is just going to be a reflection of what you were able to do this time around, but we try to keep it standard.
Will your motion include a
My
prize?
motion, huh?
Will your motion include a prize?
No prize.
So
Make it
non-competitive.
non-competitive. Yeah, non-competitive participation by the villages. And we stick to 19, 19 similar,
Size.
entries, basically a same kind of trailer, same kind of vehicle pulling the trailer or something similar to it. A vehicle with the emblem on the side pulling a trailer.
Okay, so if I can just make sure that the motion then is first that the parade entry for the mayor's council will be non-competitive.
And that
The
the
second part of
entry
the
would be
parade-
standard. So it has to
Correct.
be something in your inventory, a vehicle and or a trailer. In fact,
Okay.
if you don't want to
Okay,
pull a
is there a
trailer, it could be
second?
just a vehicle,
Okay.
decorated.
We're just part of discussion. Is there a second on the motion? The second is, it is seconded by the mayor of Inalahan. Now we'll continue to have discussion on that motion. Again, just for clarification, the motion is made by the mayor of Chalanpago Ordet, and it is seconded by the mayor of Inalahan. So when it comes to the size, it'll have to be
Limited to.
the trailer that is attached to our truck, correct? So that trailer size, we will have to, does anyone know that trailer size?
No, I think it's about 18.
So
20
we will
feet.
just get that dimension and make sure that everyone knows the dimension, but it's the trailer size that we purchase on island that attaches to our truck, correct?
That's right.
Okay, and that it's non-competitive. So we will all enter regardless of whether it's that trailer size or we have a marching unit, we will still enter, but it'll be non-competitive. Is that? That's the motion. So you don't have to vote for the motion. You can vote against it. I'm just saying, that's the motion. Any other discussion on this motion? Oh, the mayor, vice mayor of Manila. So you just need to redo your. Oh, hold on, we have to practice this. Nanga. No, it's me. I'm sorry. I'm the one who's holding it up.
Thank you. Sorry. So my only concern is I like the idea of consistency, but do you think that our trailers may be a little bit dwarfed along Marine Corps Drive? I know it's but my concern is that if people are going to stay overnight, I mean, they're expecting a parade. Whatever may come is going to be nice. And so long as we're all represented, that's what's most important. My only concern is just, will everyone come out? Will the people that we're expecting to come out to just see things that just seem like they're just regular day-to-day vehicles? I'm just putting it out there as discussion. Thank you. Oh, and the other
Okay.
thing, I'm sorry, Mr. President. The other thing was, even if it's not necessarily prizes, would the council consider like maybe people's choice so that we can actually push ourselves to make it as nice as we can with the little that we do have? People's choice or most beautiful. No, it's more so just for bragging rights. It's not necessarily for prizes like financially, but more so just so that the people can actually be more engaged and they're going to vote for their respective. But that's only if we decide to go competitive, non-cash related.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to add to that. Yes, that trailer can actually be transformed into something really nice. I did have a float in 2000. I was not mayor yet. 2016, I believe it was, and we had a contestant from PT, but I was not the mayor. But we did build a float using that trailer, and we won People's Choice, as a matter of fact. So we didn't get cash because we did not meet the criteria, right? So we did not have we didn't use any natural items. So yes, there's a possibility to make that trailer look really nice. But I think that's what I was also alluding to about a People's Choice Award. And thank you for saying that. That's what I wanted to say. But again, that's competitive, right? So that has to be part of this discussion. The mayor of Haggard is recognized. Or wait, I'm so sorry. The mayor of Inalahan is recognized because the red, that means he's first.
Yeah, so anyways, I just wanted to say that I like what is being proposed right now. It appears like in the spirit of participation and the spirit of camaraderie and not the spirit of competition is what's being proposed. I'm in total support of that. I understand that, if we come in and we are uniform in terms of the trucks and the trailers, I think it'll kind of at least put out the perception that we are together as a unit here, the mayor's council. So definitely I'm in total support. I know Mayor Kevin had mentioned, Vice Mayor Kevin had mentioned about the perception of it being dwarfed. But also we want to look at the business folks who are going to participate. They may come in the bigger ones. So again, as long as we remain uniform in that manner, I think we're giving out the spirit of camaraderie. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Pocket is recognized.
So for the last 2 years of COVID, we've actually decorated that same trailer during Liberation, and that's what we go around the village with for our candy runs, for Liberation, and for different events that we have that because we couldn't celebrate it with our people, we actually went out to our people. And so it can be transformed. You can put a deck on it, you can put a side and, make a nice skirting for it. So it's really dependent on the creativity after that. But I think if we can also, if you wanted to add on other things to represent your village after that, I don't think it should be limited to just that, right? So if you did have your marching unit that you wanted to put behind, or your dance groups from the schools that you wanted to, come out and show, again, support from your municipality, I think that's, just a plus. So you have the truck and the trailer leading in, and then you have other representation of the village. I just, that would be a lot better, so thanks.
Very good, thank you. Mayor Hoggett, thank you. The mayor of Challampago is recognized.
Yes,
Just so that you
Yeah,
know
real
how the
quick.
microphones work, because your light was green and his light is red. If he turns his off, yours will automatically turn red so you could speak.
Correct.
Thank you.
Understood. And so, and I just want to emphasize that point. What we're trying to do is we're trying to make sure that hopefully all 19 villages will participate, that they'll submit an entry. And we started off with 16 here today. So, and that's 16 mayors and vice mayors. So not all 19 districts are represented. And so in trying to come up with something that could potentially be palatable to all 19 districts and encouraging them to participate, utilizing what we already possess, rather than trying to go out to a heavy equipment company to borrow a trailer and then get them to set aside a tractor to pull it, et cetera, et cetera. This, I think, will as a good compromise. And the vice mayor of Manila, it's great to. You're saying that the people that come and attend the parade are looking for pizzazz, and I believe that Mayor Susuiko is correct. We can take these small trailers and bring pizzazz to it, but more importantly, it's like you said, the marching groups. And as a matter of fact, it doesn't have to be marching groups or dance groups. It could be whatever we want it to be. It's just do a call out and say, hey, look, some of you have always wanted to be a part of the parade. March and represent your community. Just come out, wear Hawaiian print or wear something, and join us in representing Order Challampago, for
Amen. I'm so
year's-
glad that Order Challampago is going to be represented.
Yeah.
Thank you. So is the vice mayor of Manila, did you want to make an amendment to that motion regarding the prizes? Or sometimes, because the current motion is no competition. Oh, sorry, Haggatnya, I'm sorry. The mayor of Haggatnya, you're, okay. No, Timalago Comentus.
No, I just want to find out, because we have a lot of toxic pipes going to Agana. Is that project going to be finished before the parade?
That is correct. It is confirmed that the construction on Route 1 will be completed in May.
Okay, I just want to find out.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it. The vice mayor of Manila is recognized.
Yes, I'd like to add an amendment to the motion, which is to to give out non-competitive or non-monetary prizes in the form of having the community get involved by people's choice and some other categories that they can consider.
Is there a second to that amendment? The second is seconded by the mayor of Hoggett. So the amendment is to add some prize to our mayor's competition or to our mayor's entries, but it will not be monetary. It'll be similar to People's Choice. The mayor of Chalampago is recognized.
So I truly appreciate the amendments, and I understand, the desire to have this kind of recognition. But when you say there's no monetary cost associated with this amendment, that's not necessarily true, because there will be cost for whether it be a trophy or a plaque or whatever, there'll be a cost. So if we're going to make this amendment, I suggest that we ensure that there's a funding source that supports this amendment, because making the amendment without a funding source is going back to what bugs me the most, and that's passing something and having unintended consequences or unfunded mandates that we push forward. And then after the fact, we've got to come back to the same motion and say, well, we need $500 or $1,000 to buy the plaques or the trophies to give out these prizes.
I will commit to that, and I will say that there is a funding source for it. And if there is no funding source, I will personally pay for it. Any other discussion on that motion, on the amendment? So let's vote on the amendment to add People's Choice Award to the Mayor's Council competition. All in favor, please say aye. All who oppose, please say nay. The motion carries. I wanted to hit that. Going to the original motion, any other discussion on that motion? Again, the motion is for the 19 villages to participate in the Liberation Parade with a uniform trailer. And if you want to add to that by having a marching group, or not do a trailer, but have a marching group or some other kind of resident or other kind of participation within the parade, then you are welcome, and that it is non-competitive. But now there is an amendment that we will have People's Choice Award. Any other discussion on that motion? Great. We will call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye. All who oppose, please say nay. The motion carries. I just thank you so much. So I want to just to close out the deliberation. So the mayor of Hagåtña brought up the GWA project. That is for sure. We do want to let you know that GBB does not plan to bring out any liberators this year because of the timing and also the health issue. Because we don't have a liberation queen, if there are any queens from off island that are going to come, we will accommodate them as necessary. And I think that's it. Then the memorials. So Mayor June is in charge of the memorials this year. And if I can ask Mayor June that your partner at Adelup will be Jen Dula regarding the memorials, just protocol issues, right? And so again, we are looking at providing the same amount of money, which is $500. And so of course the no serving is going to be asked of the mayors, just to kind of keep it uniform so that no one is slighted. And that's about it that I have. Did you have any questions, Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. President. No question, but I just want to inform that we do have the dates for the memorials that I've been talking to the mayors. It's just now the time. So on the next meeting, I will go ahead and submit the date and time for all the memorials.
Okay, the sooner the better.
Yes.
So that we can work with the governor's office and our liaison as well, from Mayor Bob, about so we can do the media release.
Yes.
And so all of that will be a part of that.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're
And then the last thing about the liberation is that There are plans to have an event on Friday night and Friday night and Saturday night. So the fireworks will be on Liberation Day, Liberation Night. And on Friday, there will be a drone show and an event at EPAL. Again, we're a part of it because we're helping to put it together, and we'll see how you can be a part of that as well. But we're not funding it. And then on Saturday, there are plans to have another celebration on Saturday to celebrate liberation, and we'll share with you those plans as they as they are confirmed. If you have any suggestions or if you have any ideas regarding liberation, please let me know. You can also let Angel know. And okay, Angel, you're recognized.
Just a couple of things. As an incentive to participate as villagers in the parade, since July starts the fourth quarter, those that do not participate, I will withhold 10% of your allotment. That's the incentive. And then, just joking, because I know all of you will participate. We know that. But all kidding aside, we also do, I think, believe we have a theme. And for those of you that wanted to have a Queen's candidate, I'd like to have the president announce that we do have a Queen for liberation. Oh, he doesn't want to let out that surprise yet. And it's not Mayor Savares.
No, it's not so much that I don't want to let it out, but I agreed with the governor that we would together, we would announce why it would make it such a big deal to be a part of liberation, our liberation festivities and our parade. Rest assured, I think all of us will be very happy. I think our residents will be very happy.
So there will be a press conference to make that announcement.
So there will be a press conference, and all of you will be invited, so that, because again, we want to show that we're putting this together, not on behalf of the council, the governor's office, and GVB. So thank you, Angel, for for adding that and close. So yeah, we're not hiding anything from anybody. It's just, the suspense. I think you guys will know. You'll know. You'll certainly, I think you'll be very happy with it. Again, at no expense to us. That's about it that I have for liberation. Any questions? Temem, almost. Hold on. The mayor of Inalahan is recognized.
Just for clarification, because you mentioned about the memorial having no serving. No, I just want to make this publicly known that if I did not serve at Inalahan, I will be killed. Honestly, I'm going to have a very difficult time having to explain that to the people there of Inalahan. As a matter of fact, last year when that was made known that the only water serving and all that, I was actually yelled at by several of the Manomkos, and I don't want that to happen again. So I just want to make this, for you guys to know, I'm going to be forced to serve, and I'm sorry that we're not going to be uniform in that regard, but it's a tradition in Iran that whatever function you have, big or small, it has to happen. So,
Mayor, and that's fine. And the mayor of Talofofo is correct. And so thank you, Mayor Taituki, for clarifying that. And thank you, Mayor Chargala, for also expressing that to us. We just want to make sure, and on the record, let all the mayors know that if you are hosting a memorial, we are not asking to go beyond the ceremony. If you serve something, because we cannot fund it fully and give you more than the $500, we are not expecting anything more than a beautiful ceremony, which you all did last year. And so again, we will be following the same program and the same protocol. Okay. So thank you so much. The Grand Marshal, the last thing, the Grand Marshal will be selected by the governor, and that will also be announced at the time of the media conference. Okay, anything else on liberation? Thank you so much. We don't have any new business on the announcements. I just want to remind everyone that your quarterly reports are due April 11. Typically, I know that the council has sent out many reminders. If you have any questions, please, I know that Angel is always helpful. I would like to request for a motion to approve the expense from our dues to make some corrections on the nameplates. The nameplates, the village names I think there's some village names that need to be corrected based on the law that was brought to my attention, and then some titles as well. I don't know the cost, but it's not going to be, the total cost, I think, of all of it was $2,000, I believe. Is that correct, Angel? So it'll be much less than that, maybe just a quarter of that. Is there a motion on the floor? The motion is made by the Mayor of Varagata. Is there a second? Seconded by the Mayor of Hoggett. Any further questions or discussions on that motion? All in favor, please say aye. All who oppose, please say nay. The motion is carried. Thank you. And then the last thing is the, Mayor Savaris's mom. Oh, so I really want to thank the Angel, his staff, Elaine, Rika, Mary, having to deal with me and everyone down at the council. I really want to thank the Sinahanya Mayor staff as well for helping us put this hall together. It was a feat. I mean, like Mayor Gogui pointed out, we had to figure out resources. We had to figure out how to everything. A lot of what you see here, Angel is the mastermind. So I do want to thank him for being a part of this. I want to thank my staff, Tia, and everyone in PD for also being very helpful. And for the Hagåtña Mayor staff for always coming to the call, Angel's call, and everyone else who, if I failed to mention, if you've helped to put this together. Oh, and for your approval for the nice pictures that are on the wall. Thank you so much. If you don't see a picture there, that means I didn't get an approval from you. But thank you so much for everyone for your help to put this together. And then the last thing is that, Mayor Savaris's mom's funeral mass is on April 11 at 10 a.m. in Santa Barbara. And regrettably, I cannot make it. We do have an MPC event that day, and there's too many schedules for me to reschedule. And so I want to say, though, that for those of you that experienced the passing of a parent, you realize that it is, support is so important. And when my mom passed away and you all were there, I was truly comforted and supported. And so I really feel so bad that I cannot be there because of a prior engagement. And so if you could, then please be there. It is at Santa Barbara on Monday at 10 a.m. And so with that, I would like to close with a little prayer for her. Okay, the Mayor of Challampago is recognized.
Before we do that, Mayor Hoffman's not here. Just a reminder, April is our financial disclosure.
Correct. April 22nd, I believe, correct? Yes. So your financial disclosure, your own that need to be submitted to GEC is, yeah. And GEC did send out, they did send out a reminder. If you did not get it, please, contact them because they'll give you the form that you complete. Most of us know how to do that right now, but thank you, Mayor Gober, for pointing that out. Any other announcements before I continue? Okay, if we could please stand and offer a little prayer for Mayor Savaris's mom. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. In your hands, O Lord, we humbly entrust Oliva, your servant. In this life, you embraced her with your tender love. Deliver her now from every evil, and bid her eternal rest. The old order has passed away. Welcome her into paradise, where there will be no sorrow, no weeping or pain, but fullness of peace and joy. With your Son and the Holy Spirit forever and ever. Amen. Na malkuk na tahini ko kiminagong niya sayna. Zausag giminagong tay ganomo. Kinani tasa lehinya zani Espiritu Santo. Amen. It is 12:48 and this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you. Oh, can I just have Mayor, Vice Mayor, could you bless our food? Yes, there's food outside. Vice Mayor, there's a microphone here, Vice Mayor. The Vice Mayor will bless our food. Sorry, I just thought about that.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Lord God, thank you so much for gathering us here together, and we ask that you bless us with good health in mind, body, and spirit always, and for world peace. Bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts which we are about to receive from thy bounty, through Christ our Lord, amen. Ginitata, Tanilihinia, Tani Espiritu Santo.
Oh, they said the food is not here yet, but the food is going to be here. Really? Did we call?